Well, good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro-Tips with me, your host, Anne, and disembodied hands, Justin, and possibly John. Probably John, actually. Hello, everyone. How are you this lovely Tuesday morning? Or afternoon, or evening, or midnight, in the case of Singapore? Or actually, it's probably more like 3 in the morning in Singapore. No, maybe 2. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi. Yeah, Sphinxy is back, and we're going to try to finish it today. I am going to mix up a bunch of stuff while we chat. I decided all my paint work is too solid for an ancient structure, and I'm going to totally throw a bunch of chips on it today. We're going to wipe out all this crap we did. Well, not all of it. We're going to keep traces of it, but... So we're going to get our desert stone and our desert sand and our NMM gold highlight and our white to get our stone colors back. Then we're going to mix up. Hey, everybody. Hey, Nomad Zeke. Actual sunshine? What? Scotland doesn't get sunshine? No, I can't say that because I've been in Scotland when it's sunshiny. It's beautiful when it's sunshiny. I mean, the upside of all that rain is that everything is so green. I'm going to put 2 drops of that in here. Get us some yellow of some sort. Where's my NMM? That's clear yellow. I don't want that. There it is. NMM gold highlight. Hello, Julie. And Bob. We will attempt to be awesome. The Sphinx is awesome. There's no question about that. Alright, and a little white. I'm just messing around here. Trying to make my sunlit stones color here. I may have gone with too much yellow. I'll find out in a moment. A little bit higher. There. Alright. We'll see how that comes out, and if it's too light, I will put some stuff in it. Yeah, stuff. So whenever you want a sunlit surface, you're probably adding yellow. So there's actually some desert sand underneath that puddle of NMM gold highlight. And white. Yeah, that's not bad. It needs more sand. More sand or stone. I would add some desert stone to it. That'll knock it down fast. Because it's so different. Need those colors in there. There we go. That's much better. I probably should have used Osirian sand. I probably used Osirian sand in the first one, but actually this is close, so I'm good with it. Osirian sand is a nice sunlit sand color because it's yellow. Very yellowy. Alright, I think I want a drop of this in that. I'm just throwing stuff together this morning. It's beautiful here too, but I take my walk after stream. Then I go out and glory in the sunshine because even though I had a brief spate going to goth clubs, I was never truly one of them. Although you could argue I've got Doc Martens, several corsets, fishnets, and the rest of it. So you could say I'm a closet goth. I'm a closet goth. Literally, it's all in the closet. Hey, but maybe nightclubs will open, and maybe I can find a good goth industrial club around here, because I would totally go out clubbing for a night in San Francisco, just to try it. Hello, Trouble. Trouble is here. We have Trouble. We're good to go as a stream. We're always getting in trouble. You'll burn in the sun. I do burn in the sun. I freckle. But I still like my vitamin D. I have a vitamin D addiction. Yeah, I am one of those OP, as my mom calls them, OP, old people, overpowered OPs. Yeah, so we're overpowered old people, and but I'm one of those that has no compunctions about dressing up and going, gothing out, even though I'm over 40. So, because I like to dance, so there you go. I could not drag David with me on that one though, or maybe I don't know. I don't think so. I think that'd have to be a solo man trip almost. I don't know. He is not a dancer, and I don't know if he'd like if he'd like that sort of thing. Might be able to get Derek to go with me, though, if he's in chat. Derek has gone to Goth Industrial Club in Dallas with the painters before. We used to go down there. In the early days of ReaperCon, we would go down to the church, try to plan a trip. Often fell through. We went a couple times, I think. Tried to get your freckles to join into an actual tan. That's me too. That's me too. All right, so now I do want, I'll come back with my colors at the end, but for right now, what I'm gonna do is try to get this to focus where I want it. So hold on, guys. Let me get other things out of frame so that I can get the Sphinxy to focus exactly where I want her to focus. There we go. Now we should be in focus on that base. Yes, we are. Excellent. Sometimes the camera is like, if it can see a straight line anywhere, it's going to try to focus on that instead of the organic figure. Alrighty. So we have some nice... I'm going to have to throw a lot of water into this. Remember to throw a lot more water into your light colors, guys, if you're wanting them to blend together. If you don't, you will not get the effect you want. It will be all streaky and like solid and not blendy. Unblendy. Ha! Hey, leopards are cool, so I'd be okay with that. Like, I'd be alright with that result. Alright, yeah, that's nice. And that's pretty much the color that I was working with before. Maybe it's a little more yellow, but that's not bad. And... Alright, so pretty much what I'm going to be doing real quick is I'm going to be touching up and lightening up a bunch of stuff that needs to be sunlit. That's on the top of things. Over on this side stone where I actually did more of the effect that I wanted in the first place, I'm just going to accentuate cracks. We're moving fast today because I would like to get this model done. I've had the model that is going to replace her prepped for a while. But Sphinxy, when you've got a big display base like this, it has a way of taking over the project and making it go much longer than you think. Also use your lighter stone color to kind of like stipple a bit and suggest some texture if you want to. It's a good idea. Yo, Twisted Oma, I'm glad you like her. I mean, Sphinxy herself is more or less done, except for some touch-ups. Probably I've got some touch-ups to do, but you always have touch-ups at the end of a project. Like, never expect your project to get through unscathed. Like, you will need to touch some stuff up. No matter what material you're working on, you will blorf somewhere and only notice it at the end, or you will rub off something, or you will dip a wingtip into paint repeatedly, as I have done. Just don't sweat it. Like, David got really disappointed last night. We were playing WoW, and I only need one more dungeon done at, like, level 10 to, like, unlock a thing, and we've been trying really hard to run this dungeon and failing, and last night we failed just because it was a mistake, and he couldn't counter for it, and he got all upset. I'm like, dude, I get more upset when you get upset than when we just fail to do this. Just don't stress out, guys. Just take a chill pill and just try again. It's all good. So... chances are stressing you out is only, like, being a detriment to you, and, like, the figure doesn't care. The world and the universe don't care. Just take a deep breath and go back at it. It's all good. Don't let yourself get upset because you messed something up and have to redo it. Sometimes it is frustrating. I do get it, but... take a break if you have to, but go back to it. Alright, so that's lovely. Like that, you can see all that sunlit stone. When you turn the model upright, you can really see that it's consistent, right? Like this side needs maybe a little more. It is facing up, even though it's slanted, so it will still have a fair amount of light on it. If your paint is thin enough, you can just kind of do that sideways blending stroke that I just did. You're a vampire, Quindy? I thought you were like a gnome or something. I don't remember what you were. I know you were not a goblin, right? Were you? Or... I don't know. We have raccoons, we have goblins, we have gnomes. We probably have elven princesses, but they're in hiding. I have no idea who y'all are in chat. We've got golden retrievers, probably. So if I forget your race and you are secretly a golden retriever and I call you a raccoon, please don't take umbrage. That's all I ask. All I need is, like, the raccoon army is, like, getting up in arms because I've called them golden retrievers. Speaking of princesses and golden retrievers, there's a puppy in the neighborhood here that I've been trying to help her owners because they are first-time dog owners, and she is a bundle of trouble. She is such a princess dog. You all know that dog, right? That dog where she's just so cute, but such a stinker, and has so much energy, and is so spoiled because her owners don't know how to, like, give her boundaries so much. Like, they're trying to learn, but oh my gosh, that is this dog. She is the princess dog. Just get a little bit of light down on this rubble. Yeah, there is. I mean, yeah, there's frustration that you're right, Shadow Raven, like, or Max Styles. It's good. And Shadow Raven is right too. There's probably such a mixture of stuff that, you know, your body is just like, I don't like any weather, just stay inside. But on the subject of frustration, yeah, I mean, and some of that is your mindset too, right? Is you gotta look at it as just a momentary setback. And maybe you need to take a break, and that's fine. Taking a break is fine. Just don't abandon stuff. Like, because that's what, like, there's this force that works against you in your creative, like, world. And it's, a couple of writers have kind of written about it like it's a thing, but it's really just a way of thinking about the problem. And Michael Pressfield calls it resistance. And it's the resistance you feel when you think about sitting down to do something creative, and then you just don't. And he kind of, like, has given it a personification where he can think of it as his enemy, and then he can work against it. He's like, resistance is going to beat me if I don't sit down and do my work right now, you know, or work on my project or whatever. But resistance is a real thing, and a lot of writers talk about it. It is really the challenge of just sitting down to do your art. And frustration can be a friend of resistance if you let it. Which is where I say it comes down to, like, some mindset. So if you put down your project because you're just too angry or too frustrated to work on it that day, just make sure you don't let yourself, like, have that negative association and not go back to it. Because if you've gotten pretty far on it already, you still have that bit of love for it somewhere. You just need to recapture that. Like, I often put projects aside, writing or painting, for, you know, a couple weeks or maybe even a couple months. But if I really love the project, I'll come back to it. Oh, yeah, Tristoma. Yep. Yeah, this one is about, she's almost 6 months, I think. And, yeah, and they're trying to undo the work they didn't do, if you know what I mean. And I feel bad, and I try to help them. There we go. Look at that glorious sunlight. Yeah, I love that. All right, cool. So now we've got shadow, and I want to add some chips. Let's grab some desert stone and start messing up our paintwork. Now, the paint would stay more intact under this lip because it's sheltered, right? But anything out here is fair game for all the blowing sand and you know, chunks of stone tumbling down and general weathering and crackling. So I didn't thin this very much. It's about 4:1, and I'm gonna start really, really chipping away at all this paint, especially near the bottoms of things. Gonna bring it back down toward a sandy color. Gonna use a lot of stippling to do this. Could also use some streaks or cracks. Imply streakiness to fade it out. Your stippling can look like cracks like this if you do it right, if you kind of connect your stipples and leave lines between them. So, like, the paint is kind of flaking off. And this desert stone is, like, not the best coverage color when it's thinned at all, so I'm having to build it up, but that's actually good for this because when you're doing weathering, you generally do have inconsistent weathering, right? You've got places where the paint has really worn off, and then you've got places where it's starting to wear off, right? And so if you mix that up, it looks, and make it irregular, it looks natural. So we're gonna totally tackle this this area here. We're gonna fade it out into mostly deserty color. And I can use glazes to do this as well, which is what I'm kind of doing here, a little bit of a spot glaze to fade out. See how the bottom part of that is starting to fade out now? Glazes are great for this. If you want to just kind of fade out the entire bottom of an area because you figure it would take a lot of weathering, then just do a glaze. Oh yeah, Shibas are brats. Like, they're sweeties to a point, but they are cats. They're not dogs. They're if you ever got a dog, Kriniko, that is actually what you should get, because the Shiba Inu is a cat in dog's clothing. My my ex-sister-in-law had two. And they're very different. They have a mind of their own. Always remember they were a hunting dog, and so they have a certain independence. Also, I think the Japanese culture also values independence, as a virtue. So they are not dogs that are easily trained. Like, you have to really convince them that they want to do what you want them to do. But they are adorable. There's a ton of Shibas around here in Northern California. And I see a bunch every time I take a walk. There's one in my apartment complex here that I just adore. She is the sweetest little thing, and she always is. She's a tricolor, so she's mostly black with the tan and white. She's just adorable. She reminds me of Kiri. Her face is like Kiri's. And she's just so, like, she's always checking with her owners. She's always like, are we going to go over there? Is it all right if I do this? She's really in tune with her owners, and it's not as common to see in a Shiba. So I really love that. I love that temperament. She's such a sweetheart, though. All right, so I'm really fading out the bottom of this now. I'm fading it down. I don't want it to totally disappear, but I see how it's starting to get that ruined look, right? Faded out, not freshly painted. So when you're going to do something like this, paint it mostly as if it's freshly painted, like here it is, freshly painted. Then start mucking it up. Start thinking about where to wear it down. Like, this is the way that I do it. Maybe other painters tackle this a little different, but this is the way I enjoy doing it, because I really can kind of like fade things out, then decide where the chipping makes sense. Right here on the edge, chipping definitely makes sense, because as the wind like whips particles around this corner's going to abrade. And you can always look at examples of painted stonework that's weathered. You could try to do some Google searches on it. But I'm going to take off a lot of the color or cover it up slightly. Some of it is going to show through, and you want that. You don't want to totally destroy it. I'm using a combo of desert stone and desert sand. And of course, little color will stay wherever there's a sheltered edge. So like up top under that ledge, there'll be little traces of colors, and on interior areas, there will be traces of color. So you want to keep that. And you decide like how much you want to keep, right? So for me, I still want to see traces of the colors, but they're getting more and more faded. And I'll probably start doing some glazes over the whole area now to knock down the color that I've got, to give it that great, because it's already started to look great and faded over here. Yeah, that's just it, is dogs take time. Like, I will say that I miss Kiri every time I think about her, but at the same time, now I have a lot more freedom in my schedule than I used to. So I am enjoying being dogless for the time being. Like, after years and years and decades of owning animals, for the first time, the only living thing I have to worry about taking care of is me. So I'm taking a break. I'm enjoying everybody else's dogs in the complex. Alright, get just a little bit of stippling. I try to put a little bit of stippling all over the surfaces just to break them up. And make it irregular for sure. Try to make sure you're not just doing the same areas of stippling. Do make it irregular. Alright, so now we've got, that's looking a lot more bleached out now, so I'm going to do some glazes. Weathering is a complicated thing, yeah. I mean, Val, you could, on the big ones, you can use weathering powders, which are kind of fun, but you do have to spray fixative them afterwards, so you have to use like a dull coat or a satin coat, some kind of spray coat to fix them on after you've done them. I could use some powders on this, although everything is so small. I think they don't work as well on small pieces, but big terrain pieces can benefit from weathering powders. All right, let's do some, let's do a little bit of our desert stone with a little bit of our desert sand in it, and see if I can build a glaze and fade out some of this stuff. So the glaze is going to be really thin, as usual, really watery, and I'm going to switch to a bigger brush because I want to cover this area. Yeah, I do miss having a dog, though. I mean, there's no question. That's why we're looking for a house. Like, honestly, if I didn't want a dog again, we would probably stay in the apartment for more time. And we might even be in this apartment for another year. Who knows? Anyway, even while looking for a house. But I mean, the primary driver of the house decision is me wanting a dog again. So it is nice to be without one, but at the same time, it's like, I know I do want one in the future, so. All right, so first layer of glazing. Fades everything out just a little bit more. Again, here's our fresh painted side. Here's our chipped away, desolated side. I'm going to start glazing a little bit more down below again. So I'll switch to a small brush if I decide I just want to do small sections. But then I'll go back to a big brush. And that's the difference between a sledding breed and a herding breed, Selmari. Sled dogs are notoriously independent. They had to be. Like, when it was life or death on the trail, your sled dog had to make the decision. Because you were way back there at the back. You couldn't make the decision. So sled dogs were bred for independence on purpose. And a good lead dog is a very independent dog. But a herding breed has been bred for centuries to follow the human's cue. And so that's reflected that's why I love herding dogs. That's why I don't think I'd have a breed other than a herding breed. It's because the trainability, because they are genetically focused on you. Like it's bred into them. So that can be annoying to people who don't want a needy dog, right? So they tend to be attracted to different breeds. But I like that in a breed. So yeah. It's why it's worth doing your research into like the types, like what kind of dog would suit your lifestyle and your, preferences. Even if you're looking for a mixed breed at the pound, knowing that you're looking for something from the herding lines, or maybe you want a hound because you just want something laid back that's going to lie around and not be real high maintenance, Nope. Nope, it's not green work. It's just green paint. Because green. There was no reason to do any green work on this base. Because Julie sculpted a wonderful base out the gate. So there's absolutely no reason. Oh, is that fresh? Did I dip the wing again? I've been dipping these wings in this stuff for a while. It's a good thing the wing tips are black, so they're easy to repaint. Nope. Yeah, I just added some color over here because I figured from this fallen arch there would have been paint on it a while ago, but it's not painted now, so I just wanted to introduce... That is there to introduce color on this side, Twistedoma, and yes, we're going to fade that out also because this is still pretty bright, so time to glaze. But yeah, this model took absolutely no green work. A testament to, Julie being the pro she is. Everything fits together pretty well. Actually, no, I did do some green up, just a tiny bit of green up on one wing, but that's the only area that I think I greened. Right, yeah, it's what you need at that time in your life, right? What you have the time for too, because sometimes the herding dogs, like they're easy to train, but they also require training, right? They require training and socialization to be good in the outside world. You know, as all dogs do to some degree, but some dogs require a little more work. Like Shiloh's, my breed, a lot of work, a lot of socialization work. Don't get it unless you got time for it. Same as a German Shepherd, same as a Belgian. All those Shepherdy types that are like higher energy or higher drive. I mean, Shilohs don't necessarily have that energy and drive, but they're sensitive. So you have to get them out in the world and show them that it's a cool place. Yeah, it's not different. It's actually the same green as here, Twisted Oma. It's just bigger. The reason it looks different is because it's a bigger spot. And I can tamp that back if I want to. Just by stippling some desert stone over the top. And now I've minimized it. See, now it's just faded. Which is what we want. Nepharsis, the point of glazes is you want to put it down and leave it. If you touch it, if you're going to brush over it like I was, you got to stop after, like, you just got to put it down and stop. Put it down, wick off any excess, and stop. That's what a glaze is. Don't brush over it until it's dry. Then you can go over it again. You can't really overwork a glaze, but you could just build it up too much. So, like, if I built up a lot of layers of glaze, I'd almost entirely lose my green. But it wouldn't, like, it's not necessarily an overwork. But if you touch that glaze while it's in the middle of drying, you can skin it up and make, like, pits, you know, like, skin up the paint. And that is not recommended. Although on a ruined model like this, it's not a catastrophe. You could work with that texture and pretend it was sculpted on. But usually, oh, good. 1-year-old Border Collie. So, do you have one of the more couch potato Border Collies, or is that a high maintenance Border Collie, Lee? Because I like the breed, but oh my gosh, they can be a lot of work. Yeah, okay, so when I glaze Nepharsis, I'm grabbing my glaze, I'm brushing it over the top, I'm rinsing out my brush, bringing my brush back, and I'm like kind of touching it gently to edges and middles while it's still very wet to suck off all the excess. Then I'm letting it dry. Don't touch it at this point, like after, I've got a little bit extra down here, let me get it off of there. There, you want it to not pool. So take off all your pools. Now it's drying. I could still work with it a little bit now, but it's starting to dry around the edges, so I don't want to touch it because it's so thin, it's going to dry in seconds. And once you try to touch it as it's starting to dry, you're going to leave a big brush mark. So don't ever do that, especially when you're using lighter glazes. Right now I'm using a middle glaze. I'm using something that's like desert stone with just a little bit of desert sand in it. It's almost gone there. Need to mix up more. So it's more on the medium side. Medium glazes are really easy to work with. They don't usually have a lot of white in them. The lighter the glaze, the harder it is to work with. The darker the glaze, the easier it is to work with. Because the dark colors, darker and mid colors are generally have very little white in them, if any, and so they are naturally translucent, which means they are very good for glazing. There is a couch potato Border Collie. A friend of mine in Canada has one. His name is Moose. He's ancient. I always wanted a rough collie. I actually saw a smooth collie. There's a rarity for you these days. The breed is like, has never been as popular. It's kind of like smooth-coated Shilohs. The smooth collie has never been as popular as the fluffy collie. But I actually met a smooth collie on my walk the other day. Her name was Autumn, and she was a sweetheart. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Yeah. I really have been tempted by Border Collies, and if I had to get a smaller dog, then I might do it. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually lost some of my cracks and shadows up here, guys, because of the glazing, right? I didn't see how the crack's darker down here, so I want to bring that a little bit back in. So I'm going to grab my brown liner and mix it with a little bit of my desert stone, because I want to be able to adjust things. This is the end game, guys. This is the end game of the miniature. You are adjusting and you are, hitting that base to make it, conform to what you want. You are adjusting lighting. So get all your colors that you might need mixed up and just work it over. Just section by section, work it over. We haven't done the gold coins either, but those will be pretty easy. Yeah, the smooth Collie has never been as popular, but they're really nice dogs. I mean, just like if you like the Collie but without the upkeep of the coat, which these days I'll tell you, after owning plush Shilohs and smooth Shilohs, I only want smoothies from this point out. The plush coat is gorgeous, but it's just more work. And you already have a high work dog with Shilohs. We have to fight that a lot when people contact us for puppies. This conceptualization that the Shiloh is just like the golden retriever of shepherds and it's out of the box and you don't have to do any work. And it's like, no, not so much. Pretty much the only time we get like rehomes, it's that sort of thing where the person just didn't listen and thought the dog was going to be perfect and didn't do the socialization. All right, so there we go. So see, we brought those cracks back in. It looks much better now. You need those cracks, and I'm going to highlight the lower edges. Yeah, the long coat does take a lot of care. It's beautiful, right? So it's all just the amount of work. I mean, Leo was a gorgeous dog. He was a long-coated Shiloh, and his coat was actually more plush than most of the breed, but at the end, it just got so hard. As he got older, it got a lot more prone to matting. It was a fight. Whereas Kiri was always the wash and wear dog. I like the wash and wear dog because I'm a wash and wear Ann. Alright, just kind of bringing up some of the lower edge of these cracks. Whenever you've got cracks, highlight that lower edge. Highlight along that lower edge. Because it makes it look more 3D. I mean, these are sculpted on, so they are 3D, but it can still benefit them to bring those cracks out a bit. Hey, Planner, how's it going? Yeah, for tumbleweeds. Yeah, I loved Lassie when I was a kid. That's why I wanted a Collie. That was before I realized the amount of work. It's all good. All right, so up here, I'm going to keep this dark, but I do want a little bit of light along those cracks, I think. And just grab just a little bit of my lighter colors and bring up just like the bottom edge. Or one side. There we go. Got a little bit extra oomph on this area now. I'm going to bring in a little bit of just stippling just to make this less flat. It's a little bit too flat for me. There, it's a little better. Whenever you've got something that looks really flat and it's supposed to be stonework, but you don't want a strong highlight on it, you can still do a little bit of work. Just don't take it too high. And kind of mix it in with your mid-tone, but just suggest a little bit of roughness. Because this is probably fairly smooth, but there's probably still a sandstone texture to it, so you want just a little bit. You want to keep it darker than the top, but... Alright, let's see here. Yeah, bearded collie, same thing. You just gotta be ready to do it. And some people like the breeds, like they love their breeds so much they'll do it. I mean, if I had like a little more time, maybe I would go for a plush Shiloh again, but my challenge is going to be finding a smooth coat, because since they're not as popular, they're harder to find. Not as many breeders breed smooths. A lot of our breeders just breed plush. I'm like one of the people who like is like, no, smooth is beautiful. All right, so we got that nice faded out look here now, which I think works a lot better overall. We faded out this side as well. So now you can see a real difference, right, guys, between our original, how it looked when it was freshly painted, and how it looks after numerous sandstorms have blasted through, right? So now we're going to do that across the whole dang thing. Now that I'm pretty happy with it, we'll do it on the back. I didn't even fill in a lot of this other back stuff area. I suppose I should get a little bit of red. Hold on. I was using Heraldic mixed with Harvest. Now I do need to get my colors mixed up a little bit so that I can touch up if I need to. So 1 second while I do that. Yeah, some people don't like the weathered look, but it's appropriate for this piece. And I like it, so. Brightly painted on a ruined base just doesn't look right to me, so. Oh, hi, love. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm distracted and actually, like, trying to bust out this base today. We're doing weathering effects to fade out our paint job. So that's freshly painted, and that's all faded and stuff. So that's what we're doing today, trying to finish this model so that we can start a new one next week. Let's see here. Boom. Just getting some of my red together here so that I can... I'm kind of motivated today. I don't know what got into me. Been very motivated this morning. Maybe it bodes well, considering I have to reshoot videos for Patreon, videos that I've shot 3 times. Oh, yeah. So, I was just talking about that earlier, actually, love. I mean, you can always put that project aside and come back to it if you feel overwhelmed by it. Like, sometimes that's very beneficial. Just make sure you don't put it aside forever, right? Let's see. I'm going to grab some brown and some red and kind of paint in a little bit of red up here. If you want to just do this faded from the beginning, then what you can do is take your colors and mix them with a little bit of your desert color, like your desert stone, and that will create a faded version of the color. We can just stipple in a little bit of more bright red there to kind of give that the effect. And then I don't have my yellow there yet, so I probably need to grab a little bit of Palomino Gold, which was our yellow ochre, and get that touched in. Hello, Gin Fritter. We are working on the base, fading it out. Oh no, my green stuff is, or my poster putty is just about ready to die. Hold on, let me take it off of Sphinxy here. It wasn't quite like large enough for her anyway, so let me do a quick poster putty surgery here. Take it, mush it up, spread it out thinner on the base. I probably need a little bit more, but I'm just gonna try to spread it out really thin. Hello, Luthar, how's it going? Oh no! Weird, love. Yeah. Go see a doctor, make sure it's the COVID and not, like, something else, right? Because you never know. If one thing in the medical, like, going through all my medical crap has taught me is that I am a very bad diagnostician. But yeah, it certainly is possible that it's the shot. So yeah, definitely, I would hop over to a doc and get an opinion. Hopefully it's minor and, like, goes away. Alright, let's spread out this goo all over this, and then maybe it'll be wide enough for my Sphinx to stick to it for just the end bit of this. Come on, Sphinx, you've stuck this long. I need you to stick a little longer. There. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're having a reaction, I would definitely go to your doctor, make sure that's what it is, and then, you know, because that might inform whether you get a second shot, right? So I never think it's a bad thing to consult a medical professional. I got over my fear of going to the doctor a long time ago because not going was worse. Sure. A little bit of both, Jin. A little bit of both. We canceled them because they weren't selling. That provoked kind of a run on them. A little bit of people saying, hey, but I needed this color. And so what Ed then did is he went through and identified the best sellers among the HD, and those got rolled over into Bones. But a very large part of the HD line is gone forever unless it's brought back as kind of a reboot temporarily for like con colors or other stuff. It is more likely that you will get a new version that is similar to a canceled color than that you will get that canceled color back, because if it didn't sell the first time, it's not going to sell the second time. But a variant on it might. So. All right, let's, oh, that's right. I was going to grab my ochre and do a little bit of ochre back here. Ochre. A little bit of ochre. There. I'm going to make it patchy. I'm not going to make my base coat solid because we want to age it out, remember. The Bones line, Jin, is essentially, the Bones paint line is my better version of HD. Originally, I created the HDs, you know, to be a high density line and to have better coverage. Then Ed wanted our CEO, Ed wanted a Bones branded line. So I took the opportunity to just expand. The Bones was originally kind of an expansion of the HD line. Like, I looked at the HD line and I looked at the colors that I didn't have, and I made the Bones line to fill those color gaps so that the two lines would work together really well. And so that's why a lot of the more popular HDs were ported into Bones. I mean, the two lines were supposed to be together to begin with. They were supposed to be used together. So if you like HD, the Bones line, I think, is the best thing I've ever done. So better than HD, in my opinion. The colors, I had learned more about how to produce a bright color with decent coverage, because there's stuff you learn as you do your job. And so over the course of 15 years, I learned a lot about how to kind of get what we wanted with the paint lines. So give them a try, at least. I would recommend. Griffin Tan. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of our tans got canceled, which was kind of a unhappy thing, because, you know, you need those tans. But Leather Brown is not a bad sub for Griffin Tan, 90-30. They should be pretty close. And Tanned Leather, you might want to just mix those two together. The other color that can be a good stand-in, Kerniko, is Blonde Hair Shadow. The Blonde Shadow, 9256. Yeah, 9256. That's also a very close color if it's still around. I always forget what's been trashed and what hasn't, but a lot of times when stuff gets canceled, it's because it isn't selling well, but it also can be because we've got a color that's close to it elsewhere in the line, so that you could go, you know, you can get close. You may not get perfect. You may need to do a little bit of mixing to get really, really close. So just picking up some stippling on the back of this stonework here. I have a shadow because I've got a Sphinx with wings there. I do want to bring a little bit of light in on the top on this side. What is it? So if you want Ashen Brown, and it's gone, if it's gone, which I suspect it is because nobody ever appreciates it. Nut Brown is your portal to creating a new Ashen Brown. Add a little bit of white to this, or an off-white, maybe even a little bit of a warm white, like linen white. You should get close. Or even a skin tone. Maybe even a lighter skin tone might hit you there. But nut brown is your portal for mixing things like ashen brown, dusky skin triad, stuff like that. Volcano brown, that color, that nut brown will get you there. You have to mix, but it is a good, it's a purpley brown. And so usually you just have to add some sort of lighter color and you'll get close. Yeah, if you heard what I just said, Jin, this color, this bones color, nut brown. Here, example. Grab nut brown, put 2 drops into a well. Grab a little bit of an off-white, maybe with a little yellow, let me see. Continue adding off-white. Oh, look, it's starting to look like ashen brown. Maybe add a tiny bit more purple. You might want to add a little bit of skin tone, but you're going to get really, really close. Really, really close to an ashen brown. I would probably add a skin tone at this point, probably a pinkish one like rosy. You might need to add a tiny touch of purple, but yeah, there you go. Ta-da! Close enough. Really close. So rosy, nut brown plus rosy skin. 9068 plus 9427. Ta-da. Yep, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, your nut brown is your color to mix all those purplish browns, guys. Ashen, volcano, dusky skin. I did a PDF on this for my Patreon on the weird browns and bones and how to use them. My Patreon is patreon.com/paintingbig if you're interested. I do my $5 tier. I do a crap ton of analysis on the Master Series paints. All sorts of color stuff and combo stuff and highlights and shadows and you name it, usage. You know, why some paints are useful, you know, what to use them for, what to mix them with to create triads, stuff like that. So that is my plug for my Patreon. Thank you, Quindy, for the link. Oh, good, Krinko. Excellent. So yeah, that if you need color help, I also answer colors. If you are on my Patreon, you also get into my Discord, and I get on there at least once a week to answer questions, give feedback, and if you had a color question on what was close to X or Y, I am there for you. One of the perks of being on my Patreon. Now I'm just going to kind of brush the stone color again over this. Again, focusing toward the bottom in the beginning. Because we want to weather out this, see how faded it gets just with one single layer. And we haven't even glazed yet. Now I'm going to take my desert sand and I'm going to stipple it on. But yeah, you can also, obviously, since you just did, ask questions here on the stream. Since this stream is all about answering your questions. So again, stippling mostly on the bottom here of the edge because this overhang would protect some of the paintwork. And I'm not really using any rhyme or reason to my stippling, except that if I'm chipping off an area here, I'm going to also chip off these areas because there would be the same abrasions going over these areas. So if an area is chipped, the area next to it is likely also chipped and worn. At least a little. Yeah, I just find that, I mean, it's organized, the PDFs are organized by various things. We have a directory on there that you can look and see. But do buy nut brown, because it's a weird brown, but it makes an excellent leather color, especially if you highlight it with something like leather brown. It actually, if you mix that into it, it comes up very nicely. I've been using that mix lately. Just getting that little bit of stippling in, taking down this color. This is surface control too, because the more color I cover up with my stippled desert colors, the less intense these colors come off as. kind of wiping out a bit of that ochre with some desert sand at first, and then mixing it into some desert stone down below. Just stippling to combine the two and fade it out. Yeah, if you want the link to join the Discord, just like message me on there, Red Links. I can send you the link if you've lost it. Reaper Discord is, of course, also extremely useful if you're looking for feedback for your models and everything. We have a ton of people on there. We are always looking for more. And of course, like, you can read about the Reaper Challenge League on there, which is a super fun way to kind of push your painting and try some stuff you haven't tried before. Maybe some models you haven't tried before. So do look into that, the RCL. A lot of people on my Discord are having a lot of fun with it, so. Great idea from Reaper. Fading out everything. And again, some of the stuff that's maybe a little more recessed or up against other things won't get as weathered because it would be somewhat protected. I'm getting some different colors and again, stippling a lot with thinned paint. That's going to give me more of a broad, big, blotchy stipple instead of a tight little controlled stipple. Now I think I'm almost to the point where I want to start glazing over the whole thing. The nice thing about the Reaper Challenge League, I mean, it's great to interact online and to, like, you know, talk about painting, but the Reaper Challenge League gets you to paint. And so that's, like, more valuable than any amount of reading up on the hobby, is actually working with paint and brushes and getting experience, trying things that you maybe haven't tried before, or just getting better at the stuff that you do that you enjoy. There, all right, so I think I've got enough kind of stippling there now, and so I'm going to go for a glaze. Notice, sorry, again, we have a super freshly painted side. We've got the kind of chipped away side, but still relatively fresh. And then we've got the totally faded out side, where it's been scrubbed clean by, you know, time. So that's it's a big difference, right? So, and this side we could not glaze as heavily as this side. We could say this side is a little more sheltered, right? Because there was obviously a rock fall in this side, so this makes sense to be worn and dusty. But we could keep this a little brighter. I probably will wear this side really a lot because there's obviously been fall and ruins here. But out on this side, it looks like it's escaped any pileup of stone. So you could keep this side a little brighter to show what the paint job used to look like. Haha, Quindy. Hey, arithmetic is hard, dang it. Math is hard, let's go shopping. America's slogan. Not just America, probably. Alright, going back to a bigger brush now to do a glaze over this area. Got my glaze mixed up. Kind of feel like it needs to be a little bit thinner. Remember, it should be colored water if you're going to glaze. Should not be thicker than that. So kind of test it on your palette here. That looks about right. It's like almost invisible. And then paint it over your area. And right away, rinse out your brush. Come back. Spread it out if I miss some areas. You're going really fast, so you might miss some areas. And kind of wick it off, so you don't want it to pool up here at all. grab your big brush and kind of, while it's still wet, you can do this with impunity. Just lightly touch the tips of your bristles to the area and it'll slurp up excess paint. You do not want it to dry in an uneven layer. So no pools, no puddles, no wash. It's not a wash. It's a glaze. Very different beast. There. Once you think you've gotten all the excess paint pulled off, you can let it dry. Just kind of eyeball it, just in case you need to do a last-minute rescue if you see a puddle of paint. And that has faded out the paintwork a little bit further. And the reason for me fading this out, other than, you know, historical verisimilitude, is because I want the eyes to go to the Sphinx. And when the base was too strong and bright and colorful, it was attracting a lot of attention and pulling attention away from the Sphinx. I don't want that. I want touches of color down here so that your eye does move around the base a little bit. But I don't want it to be so strong that it pulls attention away from Sphinxy, because she's the point. So fading this out and making it weathered accomplishes that goal. Thormel, I am dating a math PhD, so all of the bad things I say about math, you know, you have to couch in that. Couch in that. Although at least I'm dating somebody who makes up for my math deficiency. How about that? I do need to stipple a little bit more up here, I think. A little bit too flat up there, a little bit too base coaty. Just want a little bit of irregularity. You don't need a lot, you just need a little. All right. I do want a little bit more light on this area. I'm okay with how this looks. I want a little bit more back there. I want to look at my mini and feel happy. I keep working on it until I can look at it and feel happy. There we go, that's better. Sphinxy herself is casting a shadow. There we go. That's what I want to see. So that's good. We're getting the shadow starting to cast here, right around the edge of this rock, which is where it should be. This is going to be in shadow. So we're keeping, again, I did paint it in shadow. I'll bring it up just a little bit, because it's a bit of a too dark of a shadow right now. Haha. Quindy, even people who are good at math can be bad at math. Like, I have no doubt that David can do complicated algorithms in his head at a moment's notice, but sometimes if I need him to do basic addition, it's not happening. I actually think I might be better at doing basic math in my head than he is. But if you need an algorithm, that boy is he's got it. All right, a little bit streaky back there, so I am doing a bit of a wet blend now. If you get streaky or clunky and you don't like what you just did, doing a spot wet blend over the top of it with your shadow and your color that you're trying to achieve is a good strategy. That's better. And I feel like I need to cool down the edge of that also. Just kind of adjusting now to like take down, make sure everything behind the Sphinx is in a bit of shadow. So I still have edges. You can still see details, but everything is cooler and a little bit darker. Because she's casting this shadow. So you want to keep that. Now down here I've got a bit more bounce light, so I'm not going to go as bright as I am on the front, but I am still going to get some highlights back here. Probably by mixing my desert sand and desert stone just to get a little bit of highlight, not a ton. It's not going to be as bright as the front. And again, I'm going to use a stippling stroke here to just bring up the edges of some of these rocks and tops. So there'd be bounce light, reflected light. It's not like everything is going to be super dark in the back. The only time you get that, and even then, like, the only time you get that is if, like, her back was in a cave, right? But I don't see her like that. I see her more as in a building, like, with a strong frontal sunlight, you know, from above. But enough, like, so she's got cooler shadows behind her, but there's still light coming down back here, and it's going to reflect up onto this area. So there is going to be light here. It's just not going to be as light, and next to her is going to be a stronger shadow. But down here isn't necessarily going to be as strong a shadow. Yeah, I'm pretty good at mental math because I worked in an accounting office for a while. And it was a lot of just tallying up cash bags. And so doing some quick mental math I did it for like 4 years. So I'm pretty good at quick mental math. I was okay at math. It just was my worst subject. English was my best subject, so, and art, but mostly English. I've always been good at that because I've always been an avid reader and writer. All right, let's blend this in. This is a little bit too bright back here, so I'm going to just paint some desert stone over the top, a thin layer. There, all right. Just to blend it in. I think I want a little bit more. Looking pretty good here, actually. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Oh, stretch time. Stretch time. Yeah, let's stretch time, and then I'll go back and take a fresh look at it. I think I'm going to leave that around there. I think I do want a little bit of a brighter side there, and then you can see where it fades more there, and we can fade it in back here. But we're making good progress. We're making good progress. So let me sit Sphinxy so you can see her nicely. And we will do our stretches. Stretch-tastic. Well, there's a difference. I mean, Shadow Raven, there's a difference between, like, logical math and, like, that, and, like, crazy stuff. You know, theoretical math and abstract math. And, I mean, you even find that in writing, right? With basic sentence structure, and then, you know, you get into more esoteric language usage, and you have a basic plot, and then you get into, like, you know, making it, like, crazily and convoluted. So, I think that, you know, I wouldn't blame you for, like, just not, I mean, I was bad at, I loved geometry, but I was bad at algebra, and I think that's similar to what you're talking about. If I could use common sense to solve it, I was good. Do a stretch, everybody. If you've been sitting for an hour like I have, stretch your back and shoulders, please. They will thank you. I mean, there's math to try to understand some of the finer points of the world, and then there's math that's useful in day-to-day, and I think they're very different things. But I shouldn't talk about math, because Dave is going to walk in here and going, what are you talking about? You excel at bad English? Poor English? Yes. There's English and there's English. I mean, so every once in a while, here's an example. Every once in a while, I give the romance genre a try again, a chance again, in my estimation. Personally, I feel like some of the urban fantasy novels are the best romance novels these days, as far as the writing goes. But every once in a while, I pick up a romance novel, and I try it. And so I picked up one that got a lot of critical acclaim. And I have to admit, it actually was pretty good. Like, but then there were just big holes in it. Like they were good at X, but then they were bad at Y. And you never know how much of that is the genre and the formulaic nature of it, and how much of that is the writing. Is typo considered a language? You're really fluent at that. Typos are what you fix in editing. That's what editing is for. Make all the typos you want when you write something first. Yes, teacher does help a lot. I completely agree, Thormel, especially in mathematics, right? In things that tend to be counterintuitive, I think that having a guide, a good teacher is good. 1 second. David's in a meeting right now, so I'm probably safe from him, like, questioning why I'm talking about math. But yeah, seriously, everybody makes typos. I make typos, and then I just fix them in editing. Although I don't make a lot, because I had that relay job for the hearing and speech impaired where I had to type what people were saying, and in order to get that job, you had to have a minimum speed of 60 words a minute with a very few typos. So, or you had to be very fast at fixing your typos. So I'm not as typo prone as I could be because of that, which you know, is useful when you're a writer. Typos are what your autocorrect does to you. Yes, I agree with that so much. Like, WTF autocorrect, what are you doing? Hydrate, everybody. Get a drink. I hope you have something tasty to drink this morning. It's just water for me right now. It's not coffee day till Thursday. Oh, new math. Oh my god. No, the new math was worst math. New math is bad math. Yep, I just stretched, Pendrake. You missed it. Stretch yourself. Yeah. Let's see here. There. Okay. Let's stipple. Right, that's what we're on. We're on stippling. Because stippling is fun. We should have the RCL stipple challenge, Reaper John. Like, you can paint the model any color you want, but you must stipple it. You must make it with tiny dots. Highlight it and shade it with tiny dots. As tiny of dots as you can get. You must use stippling over the whole thing. That would be... Everybody's stuff would look like Surratt. Pointillism. Pointillist miniatures. We need to have that. Then everybody can give stippling a try. I think it would be fun. Because then you just paint everything with dots like I'm doing right now. Dots. More dots. More dots. 50 DKP minus for that idea. Anne is what they're saying. Oh, good. Excellent. Well, polka dots are a little different, right? Those are stippling's giant cousins. But yeah, it would be cool to have a stipple challenge. Once again, we're going to crack the edges up here. And fade them out with some desert sand. Yep, Polaris. Got to get that Onyxia reference in. I was raiding during that. I actually was running Onyxia with 40 people. Though I think the healers had the easy job in that one. You seldom got knocked into the whelps. You just had to heal up the people who did get knocked into the whelps and weren't very good at getting out. Gonna wipe out a bunch of this stuff again. Yeah, toothpicks. I guess, if that's what floats your boat. At that point, at least if he does switch to brush, he'd have really good brush control, but he wouldn't necessarily understand paint consistency. But it's all about your goals. Like, if you like the effect, who cares? Alrighty, a little bit more stipples here. Want to bring up light down here. Coming off of there, bouncing. The problem with toothpicks is that the paint is not meant to flow off the end of the toothpick. So you're pretty much just hoping that you can blob it on accurately. You have no control. I mean, usually what you need is just a better brush. Alright, so got some stippling up there, weathering on the edges, various parts of the thing. And now we do the glaze. Yeah. Well, like I said, if that's your style and you like it, rock it. It teaches you some things. Like, it's very good. I expect that painting that way is very good for your motor control, like your fine motor to hit little tiny details. But it doesn't teach you, like I said, it doesn't teach you paint consistency, brush loading, things like that. Yeah, it would. Hello, Iron Bristle. How's it going? We are weathering our little Sphinx's base here. I am about to do a glaze. Big fat glaze over the whole surface. Fat, fat, fat glaze. Fat glaze. Fat glaze. More glaze. All right, now rinse out your brush. Come back. Slurp off all this excess water. You do not want this to dry. It will ruin the mini. Well, maybe not this one because we're painting ruins. So I guess if it dries wonky, you know, it won't necessarily ruin it. But still, come back, wick off all your excess water, let your glaze just settle in a nice thin layer over the whole thing so that we make it faded, make it look faded. Oh yeah, Twisted Doma, that's a thing. That's what Reaper does every time a Kickstarter shifts. Well, now that's not true because we have the whole new area. But that's what Reaper was having to do, trying to shoehorn everything in, right? So we feel you. We feel your pain. Luckily, I didn't order very much, so I think I'm going to be okay. Got to fade out that little area. So there we are. She's getting there. Now I think we've faded the base enough that attention thoroughly is on the Sphinx, and you just notice the colors down here as kind of an aside, which is what I wanted. I wanted something to bring the color around the model, but nothing to distract too much from the beauty of Ms. Sphinxy. That is the goal. Piling your miniatures higher and deeper works until you start feeling overwhelmed like they're going to fall on your head. That tends to be where I hit. And that makes me reorg. Let's just get a little bit of stippling on this area down here. A little bit of highlighting. It's the base. You don't need to work too much on the base, but you do want to actually have highlights and shading and things. Things and stuff. All right, looking good. Looking good, Sphinxy. Just want to hit a few more areas back here. I think we're doing okay. We just need to add some scrapes and knocks to this area here. And we don't have to do too much because I'd already kind of faded out this area and not painted it as cleanly as the other areas. So it doesn't take as much work to make it look ruined. I did forget to put a little bit of red on these little collars though. There. Faded out color. There, you can just, if you want, you could just glaze these colors on and they would look faded out the gate if you glaze them on over your stonework, but, or you could do it like I did and paint it more solid and then do more chipping and glazing for fading. I like this, the way this turns out a little bit more, I think, so. Yeah, there we go. Looking good. Get the edges of this hole so that it looks dark and shadowy and forbidding. There we go. We still got a few gold coins to deal with, don't we? I think I'm all right there. I think I want to fade out this back panel with one more glaze. So big brush coming online. Yeah, that is true. I mean, yeah, Kariniko, you make an excellent point. Is for most of us, it's not too many minis; it's bad storage. Another problem that I'm tackling that helps a lot is if you've still got everything in the blister or in its box. A lot of times, if you break it down and put it into little Ziploc bags and organize it nicely in smaller boxes, you save so much space. That's what I'm working on this week with my Pro-Tips models, my future models for this show, is I've got them heaped up in a basket, but they're all still in blister, and so they're taking up about like 4 times the space that they actually need to take up. So I'm revamping that organization this week. I was trying to open up a shelf so I could put my competition models on it, my work in progress competition models, because I needed somewhere to put them that wasn't where my plants were. So that's part of that project, is tuning my storage. There. All right. When you've got extra glaze, you can always just paint it over like your stones and stuff. Now that looks nice and faded. Now this is the freshest side, which is good because you need something to look at on this side. So having this be a little more crisp over here and not as broken down is nice. Nice, Lord Nobody. Yeah, unboxing the little baggies, yep. Yeah, I would just like, I don't know that I would just keep them in the blister. I'm just, like, there's something nice about breaking open a fresh mini out of the blister, but I think I could, just Ziploc them and put them in a nice box, neatly labeled, and I'd probably feel just as good breaking them out, so. There we go. More boxes equals happy cats, yes. Alrighty, cool. Well, let's do some little gold coin touch-up stuff. I want a little bit of a wash for those to bring out the details. I think I want a little bit of brown liner. Where'd I put it? There it is. There. Now I need to get some lantern yellow. D. Clearman, who has a problem, but also has a solution. So you really can't say anything, right? He's like, here, this is how you deal with this. No, I think I'm gonna unblister mine. I'm really liking to take my miniatures collection down to as low a profile as I can get it. Although I do have several beautiful busts in boxes, but then the box is usually just big enough for the bust, or maybe double the size of the bust, so it's not as bad as a blister. I need some white for that. Where is it? There it is. Just mixing up some yellow to highlight these little gold coins. We have 10 minutes. These days my gold NMM varies a lot depending on the model I'm painting. but I'm usually always using the gold NMM highlight, and I'm using lantern yellow, I'm using pure white, I'm using rich leather, some mixture of all of these things. Yeah, I've got a shelving unit in my closet, my side of the closet in here in the hobby room, Quindy, and I did give away and sell a lot of stuff before I moved. I pretty much made all my minis fight for my love, and if I didn't have like this, if I couldn't look at the model and really feel like I wanted to paint it, then I found another home for it. There are so many beautiful models coming out everywhere that I was like, I don't need to force myself to keep this if I no longer have interest in painting it. And there's interest and then there's interest, right? There's the model that you're like, oh, that's pretty. And then there's the model that's like, oh, I gotta paint that, right? So I got really good at making that judgment call because I didn't want to feel like I was buried. Yeah, the paint. Yep. There are lots of people making really cool paint rack systems for their painting areas. It depends on how much room you've got, though. Lord nobody. D. Clearman, all I can say is it's a good thing you're gainfully employed. You could pay for storage for your miniatures. Or I guess you've got a big house, you've got a new house, so you can pay, you've got your storage for your miniatures. It's funny. You know what, though? It's still, even with how expensive it can get, it's still not as expensive as some other hobbies, right? So it's like... And it's a pretty portable hobby. You could bring an abbreviated kit when you like are traveling or go to a con. You can pretty much bring your hobby anywhere with you as long as there's like water. I'm just doing some little highlights on these little gold coins. I'm using a mixture of the Palomino gold that I mixed up earlier, added some lantern white and some NMM gold highlight to it, and a little bit, or lantern yellow, sorry, not lantern white, and some pure white. So I'm just hitting each little coin just with a little bit of a highlight. There is another way to paint these. If I wasn't trying to go super fast, I could have painted the whole thing like cloth and done it that way. And I can still kind of do that with some highlights. I'll show you in a second. I'll glaze, but I want to get these little coins picked out first. Because you don't want to just hit all of the highlights and then just leave it. You do want to make little coins stand out. Let's see here. Little coins, and then we've got a little stack of coins back here. Oh, nice, Quindy. Nice, Otter. You are totally organized, Otter Mama. These coins are a little harder to see. I might have been able to do these as rock, but they do look like they're coins, so. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wash that, bring it down. I'm gonna bring it back up. Yeah. I can't handle that. Twisted Oma. That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Like, luckily David and I both like to keep a lot of open space in the house. Nothing makes me feel overwhelmed faster. A little bit more gold. That's a little better. All right, so let's get some yellow and do a glaze here. I'm going to add some water. I'm going to essentially mix kind of a lighter, more golden yellow, but I'm keeping it really transparent. What I'm going to use it for is glazing some of these over some of these piles to bring parts of the pile lighter and more yellow. And it's a really light, because gold is pretty yellow. It's like lantern yellow with a little bit of NMM gold highlight and a little bit of white. And I'm going to use it as a glaze to warm things up. To also bring certain parts out into the light more. And to tie them together. So there's still shadows in between the coins, but I'm lightening those shadows a little bit. I'm also popping them more yellow so that it's more evident there's something different. Gonna get some white out and just hit highlights. When it's on the base, don't feel like you have to do an amazing job on it. Depends on, of course, if it's just kind of a display model or if it's like a competition model. How much work you want to do on it. But even then, like base stuff should look good, but it doesn't have to be like super to the high quality of your miniatures. And it shouldn't be distracting. So I'm just going to take some of this white and I'm going to get some highlights up here. Wherever the coins are kind of spilling out horizontally, I'm going to try to hit more highlights. And where they're stacked up vertically, I'm not going to hit them with as much of a highlight. I got a little bit of a blorf there, but that's all right. Can correct our blorf. Oh yeah. Yeah, I do recommend getting an out of sight, out of mind thing going on a little bit. Like, find some, like, get yourself a, like, kind of a cabinet or something where you can put the minis away that you're not immediately interested in working on. Because you can overwhelm yourself. You can have that whole, like, too many choice paralysis, analysis paralysis, as you try to figure out what you're going to paint next or what you want to work on. And it can really put you back. Like, you could really freeze yourself up that way. So I find that having a place, like I have my closet, and that's where I don't look at those minis. And the minis that I feel like I might want to like work on like soonish, I have out on the shelf where I can see them. But if like I look at one and I feel like you know, if it's out on the shelf, I'll put it in the closet. Because if I'm getting an out of it, I'm not going to paint it anytime soon. So everybody's got their own coping mechanisms, but I always recommend having kind of an out of sight, out of mind storage. Yeah, Orchrist, I agree. I use that strategy as well. That's nice, yeah. Quindy, I like that sort into boxes temporarily first to see how much you've got. Yeah. Yep. 18 prime dragons on a table. That would make me shut down. That would make me shut down, Orchrist. Like, I would start panicking. Too much stuff. At most, I like to have, I don't know, right now I've got like 3, maybe 4 little projects coming up that I want to paint. Well, one of them is my halfling that's almost done. So 1 project that's almost done. And then I've got like 3 others kind of prepped, though not primed yet. Because I haven't decided which one. I don't prime a model until I'm ready to work on it. Yeah, no thanks. Like, there's a reason that, you know, I go heavy on my Patreon and I don't take many commissions. Oh, lordy. And I don't paint armies, really. I'm not, given nobody's really playing games right now, but once we get back in person. There we go. But yeah, I try to keep my workload down a bit, because I know what a slow painter I am. It can take me a long time, so easy to get overwhelmed. There we go, we've got some gold. Got some gold coins. Pretty happy with those. Gonna highlight the back ones. Get a little bit of yellow on them. Yeah, and a competition model. At least 2 armies in a competition model. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I avoid armies these days unless I've got a group where I'm really excited about playing with them, and then I'll whip out, you know, my Eldar and maybe put some paint on them. Gaming does inspire me to paint my gaming stuff. But the minute I don't have a game going on, my urge to paint my army is dead in the water pretty much. There we go, little shiny coins. Yeah, the ships are huge. Like, what I can't wait is when that pirate ship ships and y'all get ships and you're all buried under ships, I want to see the pictures of how you've come up with creative solutions of where to store your ships. That's what I want to see. All right, I think that's good. Wow, hey, we might be done. We might be done. Let's see here. Let's zoom out. Sphinxy, are you zoomed out? I think she's all the way zoomed out. Yeah, there we go. There is our Sphinxy. Let's take a close look. I do need to touch up. I do need to do touch-ups for sure. But otherwise, everything in the light is in the light. Everything that's in the dark is in the dark. Everything looks like it's painted. I don't think I'm missing anything. There. Add a little bit of extra shadow here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like a dried out lake. That'd be cool, Orcrist, actually. That's a great idea. I mean, anything like that is a great potential terrain piece, right? So... there we go. I think we're pretty good. A little bit of shade, a little bit of light. Need, I think, a little bit of light on that. So now it's like final fine tuning. Hey guys, our model is done. What do you guys think of her? Now we're going to start with a whole new model next week on this slot with no more Sphinx, guys. No more Sphinx. Yeah, there's coins. There's little coins, Varl. There's not coins here. We decided this was rubble. I just have painted some stuff like rubble and some stuff like coins. I asked Julie's opinion. She said she'd have to look at the green, but this looked like rubble, so I've decided to paint it like rubble. You may paint it however you like. I didn't really need another accent over there, though. Piles of coins are actually my least favorite thing to paint. Like, I find them, like, just kind of annoying. There are a whole bunch of tiny little things sitting there, and you're just like, argh. But I'm just going to get a little bit of highlight back here, because we've got, if you look, it would be just a little bit of light coming back there, I think. Pendrake, I'm thinking of selling this one on the Patreon. My, the Dragonborn auction should be up this afternoon. It is the first one. And then I will be selling 3 other figures over the course of the next few weeks. And I think I may sell Sphinxy, since she is very popular, and she would probably be a nice opportunity for somebody to own it to use as a reference, or an inspiration, or a desk mascot. I'm sending Ron an awful lot of figures already, so I don't think Ron's going to be neglected. I do not know if they have a painted version of this yet. Do they, guys? Do you know? Is there a painted version of Sphinxy? Like Reaper? Reaper, do you know if Ron had this painted? Or if this is like the only finished one anybody's ever seen? You like her, Julie? I hope you like her. I do need to touch up her wingtips because I dipped them. There's her backside, and we've got, I think that's very nice with this little bits of color down here, and then the very vivid color up top. I think that works really well. And then there, and then there, and then there. There you go, full rotation Sphinx. There isn't one on the site, but you've seen a painted version. Yeah, I will put her up at a higher price, and if she doesn't sell, I'll probably open it up to the Patreon, the rest, like all of the Patreon, and then we'll see. And if she still doesn't sell, I might keep her, who knows. But she did take a lot of work, so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if John or Justin knows if Ron got this one painted or not. Like, sometimes I know if somebody has been assigned a figure or not, and sometimes I have no idea. Well, then I'll definitely have to take some good pictures of her, and at least send those over. Oh, do we have a genie in the title? Is the genie sneaking into the title? Yeah, well, I was sick a day, and like I also think I accidentally skipped our elf model last week because she's over against the edge of my shelf, and I think I forgot her. Oh, okay. No, I just chose to like actually I didn't even. Hey, now I just noticed I ignored it. I'm just gonna paint it like more rubble though. There comes a point when you've decided the model is done where you're like, no, the model is done. It still does look like a little hand, but you guys can paint yours as a hand if you really want to. I want this rubble to seem like it's much older, so. Julie would have had to check the greens then, I think, to find out if it was a hand. That may not be easy. So yeah, there we go, guys. Do you guys want to know what the next model is? Are you excited? We've got a tiny bit of time because Reaper's looking for a raid. Hold on, I'll get you the next model. So you guys will know, nobody else will know. Don't tell them, okay? Our next model is, drum roll please. Put Sphinxy up top. Ta-da! I don't know why, like, ragtime music works for the Mushroom Queen, but it does. So, yeah, we're going to start her next week. She goes Sphinx rotation. Yep. Oh, we're going to raid. We're going to raid Zambies. And you have to come back and Crow's Nest this afternoon, everybody. Oh, is Rhonda Rhonda's our guest because she's doing a show on Monday, right? Fantastic. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had a great time. I did. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're working on Lizette tomorrow. Lizette. All right?